year, a certain special thing happens to every human on Earth.
Christmas.
Well, if you're Jewish, no. If you're certain holidays are celebrated.
Jewish?
No.
Okay.
L'chaim, though.
Oh, boy.
But once a year, it's your birthday.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not BackChat's birthday today, which we will have a very big BackChat birthday.
We're pretty close to BackChat's birthday.
Yeah. It's not my birthday.
When is your birthday?
You were there not that long ago and you just flung feces at me the entire time. Not literal, but just...
It's quite
my
funny,
birthday
guys.
consists of 12 friends just abusing me for 2 hours.
We love you.
But it's somebody else's birthday today. It's not Charlie's.
Nah, it's coming up though.
When is your birthday, Charlie?
It's in February 26th.
He's just
Not
slid
bad.
that in
Slipping
nicely.
in
You just missed out a
Remember
leap
that.
year there. You
Yeah.
just missed.
Well,
No, but it's
40
your
years
birthday today. We
Mine.
record on a Monday.
Mine, me.
Bill Schofield.
Yep.
33.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. You know what? Shake hand. There you go.
Shook hands for all our listeners, but our watchers, you saw that.
Yeah, there was a bit of silence, but we were shaking hands.
Yeah.
Massive episode of BackChat
Yeah, it is.
today.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Our guest, who is Mitch Johnson. We don't need to do that. No.
Full promote.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's Mitch Johnson, and I will say this to him when we get him in. I was a little, it's not surprised, but I did a bit of research about him. He is genuinely one of the greatest cricketers to ever play for this nation, and we will have him in studio,
Yeah. He's gonna
BackChat
be here.
studios.
It's ridiculous.
Pretty bloody excited, to be honest.
Speaking of BackChat,
Yes.
we've got new social handles.
Yes.
You've rattled them off for weeks and weeks at a time.
Now it's easy
Now it's easy.
because it was hard.
Yep.
Now it's easy.
Yep.
At BackChat __. That's it.
That's it.
I would love to see a bit of action. I would love to see a bit of social action, if I'm honest, Dan.
Be honest.
I'd love to see a bit of tagging of BackChat in something funny. I would love to say, hey, BackChat, check this out.
It costs you nothing.
Hey, I'm down at the local cricket oval. It's the finals. We're about that time of year. Have a look what this guy just did. 6 for 16. Better than Dan Const.
Yep.
See if you can give us a bit of love. At BackChat _. Website's the same, backchatpodcast.com.au. Email for you send it, we read it. One of the best segments in the game. Hello at backchatpodcast.com.au. Reddit. Talk to us about Reddit, Dan, because r/ or / one of those things, BackChat
/
Podcast.
Yep.
That's our Reddit space. How's that going for you? Going well?
It's going okay. What I like to do, we spend a fair bit of time making content for people.
Yeah.
We love it. It's
Yep.
the best.
Yep, absolutely.
Couldn't think of anything better to do.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No,
Yep.
legit.
No, it's
you know,
actually pretty fun.
Yeah. Occasionally I'll go on and I'll post what we do on Reddit, on various subreddits. If you don't know Reddit, it's basically an internet community, but you can sort of aim in on certain things like sports or cricket or basketball.
So that's the Reddit explained to
Anyways.
you by someone who uses Reddit. Someone who
for
doesn't
dummies.
use Reddit, who's me.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of just absolute lunatics on there.
Yep.
Talking a fair bit of junk.
Yep.
But it's enjoyable.
It's enjoyable. So what I like to do is we do an interview with, say, Greg Hire, for
Sure.
instance, last week. You can go and watch that on YouTube. Just search Greg Hire BackChat. It's a very good episode. And then I go, I think the NBL people, basketball people, might enjoy this. I'm just
Perth
going to share
Wildcats?
it. Perth Wildcats. Yep. I will share it. There's been a couple of times recently where I've shared things and people haven't liked it because they're like, oh, you're just trying to promote your own stuff. Well, no. We spend hours making this stuff, and I want more people to hear it because I think you'd enjoy it, and that's why I publish it. I've recently been banned by r/sports, which is the general sports Reddit.
How many people are
There's I think there's 170,000 people in on that Reddit.
And you've been
And I've been banned from it because I
banned.
posted one video of something we did, and I thought, you know what, this is really interesting. I think more people would enjoy this.
the man that
Some
plays
moderator-
by the rules has
Some
been
moderator
banned.
has gone in and gone, that's his video, and we're banning him.
I want to interject here.
Yes,
It's not
Charlie.
170,000 people in that. There are 19,639,000.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
In our
19,
slash
So
sports.
you've
just
been
thought-
banned permanently.
yeah, I'm not allowed to post anymore.
Oh,
so do you know
jeez, that
what?
makes
I'm
me
calling
happy.
out. I don't call out much the BackChat community, but if you see something we do, share it around. It helps. It helps get the eyes on our stuff.
Yeah, we love the social interaction. YouTube. Again, I've said this before. We don't know how many people listen to this podcast as a podcast. We know how many people watch. I would love to the people that listen to just sign up to YouTube.
Yep.
I'm not pleading with you, not begging, but it means something to us if you jumped onto YouTube and subscribe to us. BackChat podcast. Just find it on YouTube. You're big boys and girls. You can find it over there. Don't worry about that.
Also, a lot of people have said to me, I don't use YouTube. I don't have a YouTube account. I don't want to sign up. If you've got a Gmail, which basically everyone does, unless you're stuck in the Hotmail days, which you need to change that, you've got a YouTube account.
Not taking that as an excuse. Don't have a YouTube account. Just seriously,
that's what I'm
imagine
saying.
how many accounts you got.
That's what I'm saying.
You got so many accounts.
You got a Gmail account. You go to YouTube, subscribe, whatever.
This partnership is continuing. Whippersnapper and BackChat podcast.
It's a very good partnership.
Little cheers for you, mate.
Yes,
cheers
please.
for Scully's birthday.
Sco's birthday. Very good whiskey.
Yeah.
Whippersnapper Distillery in East Perth. One of the only sort of local, like CBD distilleries around.
I want to lead this into a chat about Patreon and our patrons, because we've increased a little bit from last week and we appreciate the patrons that support this podcast.
Yes.
What we're going to do with every sponsor that we bring on, patrons are going to get access to a little discount code, Dan.
Yeah,
I haven't told you about this. That's what I'm going to do. That's what we're going to do.
Can I just throw one at you?
Okay.
It's currently end of January.
Yep.
What comes up middle of Feb that comes up too fast every time?
I don't know. AFLW finals.
Yep.
AFL pre-season's in about week 6 post-Christmas.
More important than that.
It's 2 weeks after my birthday.
Yep. Valentine's Day.
Ah.
How often do you forget about Valentine's Day? It's Feb 13.
I
All of a
just
sudden,
forgot
I'm
about
buying towels from Bed Bath and Beyond,
Yes.
because you don't know what else to get.
Charlie's nodding.
Yeah. No,
Charlie knows
looking
exactly
forward
what
to
we're talking about.
Valentine's Day.
What's the
We're going to do a little special flower deal for people with Fox and Rabbit.
Fox and Rabbit.
Yep. For
Wife
Valentine's
of
Day.
Dan Const, Fox and
Yeah,
Rabbit.
I'm going to help you guys get your things in order so that you don't disappoint your partner on Valentine's Day.
Men for their partners, for their potential partners.
Yep.
Women
Yep. For their
for
partners.
themselves. And you know who else? Everyone's mum. Fox
Yep.
and Rabbit.
You know
I
what?
love it.
You don't have a partner? Spoil your mum.
You don't have a partner? Head to Albany like Charlie did and head on a little voyage down there.
Didn't work.
Didn't work.
Speaking of fantasy, well, we weren't, but our fantasy league, I am very, very excited about our AFL fantasy league. Now, we know all about the AFLW fantasy league happening over at Moira's Magic
Yep.
/ AFLWfantasy.com.au, but the men's game's starting in about 50 days, and we are starting a BackChat fantasy league.
Yep. I've registered.
Have you?
Yep.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, I did. So when I went to go register in our league, my
Yes.
old team name from 12 years ago. Do you want me to
Please.
tell you my old team name?
Yes, please.
Be My Ballantine was my old fantasy team. And that was that I used
Wow.
that for years.
Well, as you should have, because it's very good. The only way they're going to be any better is with an underscore. I will tell you that.
But Ballantine isn't playing anymore, so I've changed team names. If you want to know what it is, you have to join our Patreon.
Yep.
You get the code. The prize is insane.
2 grand final tickets to the 2022 AFL Grand Final. That is guaranteed. We did promote on social media that you may be in the running to win Sam's Tesla. Sam, who is our graphic designer, who is in the house today, just no microphone.
Just give us a whoop. There you go.
Sammy's Tesla is out the front. It is on the line per se, but we're not guaranteeing that as a prize. Conditions do
conditions,
apply
heavy
apart from
conditions.
that. But if you would like to play in the AFL, in all seriousness, if you'd like to play in the AFL Men's Fantasy Competition, jump to backchatpodcast.com.au. A little banner will take you there. Or you can follow any of the links in the bios of Instagram, in Twitter, in my own socials. Dan, you got links in your bios? I don't think you actually do. Time you lift your game a little bit, mate.
Yeah, I will.
All right, if you want to get involved in that, 2 grand final tickets on the line. So what we needed to do is sign up to YouTube. That's separate. Jump on the website. Sign up to Patreon. Sign up to the Fantasy League.
We're asking a lot.
Charlie, do you have a fantasy team in this league yet?
I haven't, but it's on the to-do list. It's happening this week.
We got three people behind the cameras today. We got Charlie, we got Kat, and we got Sam. Kat and Sam, just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you have a fantasy team in our league.
Oh, Sam does.
Sam does. Kat says what's fantasy.
That's right.
Okay.
No, we'll get there.
Hey, we got 50 days to work on you, Kat. We'll see you there.
Speaking of 50 days to work on something,
Yes.
players hitting the training tracks again.
Yes.
People meeting up at clubs again, at the footy clubs, and also probably Hibbie Club, which is where you like to go.
Yep.
People come back with new haircuts,
Yep.
new shoes,
Yep.
maybe a new tattoo.
Tan. A little bit of tan.
Yep. Mason Cox, Collingwood Ruckman. He's come back with a little accessory.
A forward ruckman.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a ruckman. He's a forward.
He's doing what Dan Const wishes he could have done to the AFL, which is, one, train in sunglasses, but two, he is applying to the AFL to play games of football with a pair of sunglasses on.
I love it.
Wraparounds, you love it. Why do you love it?
Because
I'll tell you right now, I do not love it.
I love it because that can become his shtick. I think he is borderline where he is like in and out of the team.
He certainly is. Yeah, he's out of the team.
Probably
right now.
doesn't really deserve a spot, to be honest.
Okay.
He has one good game a year.
Yep.
And I think Collingwood like the whole thing that they've got an American coming and playing for them. It does good things with marketing, expands their market. But now he needs something. He needs a thing.
Could it pole vault him into cult status?
That's what I mean. Quinton Lynch was the glove.
He was.
Was Quinton Lynch the best forward the Eagles had?
He was not.
No. But the moment he took off the glove and he threw it on the ground, the crowd went mental and they bloody loved him.
All I can think of is Mason Cox taking a mark and the sunnies going up on the head.
Just going up like
like
this.
lifting them up and propping them up on his forehead.
If he doesn't do that, it's a wasted opportunity. So I am pro the sunglasses. When you don't have all the skills, you need to come up with other things.
I tell you right now, I played against Mason Cox in the 2018 grand final, and put a counter on that as well, Charlie. You didn't mention the amount of times I mentioned the 2018 grand final, but if he was wearing fucking sunglasses in that game, I would have smashed them off his face. What is stopping a player like me putting my palm through his sunnies, his Ray-Bans or whatever he's going to be wearing? What is stopping me from doing that?
Your conscience, hopefully.
My conscience.
Do the right thing.
Absolutely not, Dan.
So,
this isn't a fucking public. This isn't a train that you have to check your ticket and play by the rules. This is a competitive game where you're playing to win. If a player came out with sunglasses on his face, I would smash them. I would try to smash them.
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you're, I'm sorry. While you're talking, I was trying to think of Horace Grant. I had to confirm his name. Horace Grant.
Yes.
Played for Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, but
he was that guy with
it's a
goggles.
non-contact game.
That was his thing.
It's
That's
a
what
non-contact
I'm
game.
saying. He could wear them without the risk of someone tackling him to the floor and smash his glasses. Mason Cox, I love the idea, but...
It's a no for me, Mason.
It's a no for you.
No, it's a yes from you.
No for you, yes for me, because of the thing.
Look, I've got on the run sheet to talk about Jack Darling. I did it to death this week. I will just say, if you want to have a look at it, it was on the back page of the paper. As media usually do in this city, in this state, in this country, they took something I said out of context, put it in a big-ass fucking headline on the back page of the paper. I gave 3 points of view. I gave my point of view as a player, as a teammate, and what I would have thought playing with Jack if I was still playing. I gave my point of view as a friend and as a person, as an observer, as your rights to make your own decisions and the fact that I respected that right to make a decision about your body or your finances or your job or whatever the fuck you want to do, to be honest. Like, you want to do whatever you want to do, go for it. That's how I view everything. You want to play by the rules, Dan? Play by the rules, mate. Yep. Do your thing. You don't want to play by the rules, you go for it. I gave the club's perspective, so all of the options they have under the CBA. Now, the article was written and it was put in about 5 pages in, but on the back page of the paper, it basically said, Will Schofield, not quoted, would be incredibly disappointed. They take those 2 words out of my, 7-minute monologue I did on it.
Yep.
If he was still Jack Darling's teammate. And it was just a beat up in the back page of the paper.
Yep.
So if you want to read about that, jump on jump on there. We might chuck something up on YouTube, my full statement, because as we like promoting on here, full context is
We'll get into
beautiful,
it maybe another
beautiful
time.
thing.
And you know what? One day we'll get Jack on and we'll do the whole story.
Okay.
I didn't like. Can I just quickly interject with that? I
You can do
didn't
it,
like when I saw the Eagles release a statement and they put it up on their Instagram, like their post, and then the comments were like, "Oh, you better get the vaccine." Like we like when it's fans going, "You better do this because I want our team to be better." Don't like that. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah, but that's a bit of what sport's about. I think we should move on. If you want to see my full take on it, you can jump on YouTube. Dan will have it up there at some point in time in the next 4 to 5 years, potentially.
Yes.
You send it, we read it. It's a special edition of this because we have coming into studio, as we said off the top, Mitch Johnson, one of the greatest cricketers of all time. I'm having a little look on the rundown for Sir Swamp's stats, Charlie, and I can't find them because I believe I deleted them. But
he's got a very good batting average, and we will get the exact batting average in a second.
Mitch Johnson has done some big things for this country, and he'll be coming up after this because we're going to get straight into you send it, we read it. But what does Sir Swamp have him at the top of all time, Charlie?
So Sir Swamp has highest batting averages for Australian men's cricketers after 5 tests played.
Right, so after the first 5 tests they play.
So you can't just play one test, get a crazy batting average, and then be the best.
So 5 tests is that's a decent way into the game.
Yeah.
Where's Don Bradman in that list?
So Don Bradman's average is 67.4.
At what number in Australia?
10?
10?
Looks like.
Okay, the Don.
So it wasn't that good.
Top 10, okay.
Top 10?
Who else is in that list? And what are their averages?
So you've got guys like Mike Hussey at 85.
The Hussmeister General.
Jack Gregory, 73.7.
Jack Gregory.
Yeah. Peter Hanscom, 73.3.
He's a batter.
Yeah. Arthur Morris, 71.9.
Big
Old. Okay.
Keith Miller, 71.4.
Millsy.
Doug Walters, 68.3. Gary Cozier, 68.
I don't know who these people are. Where's Mitch Johnson and what is an average?
Mitch Johnson comes out on top with 99.
Numero uno.
So 14 points ahead, 14 runs ahead of Mike Hussey.
99 runs after 5 tests. Mitch Johnson, the bowler, probably top 5 bowlers this country has ever seen. He had the highest batting average of 99 after 5 tests. He'll be coming up after this. You send it, we read it. And our very much favourite of this podcast and a big friend of the family, Philip White.
Here we go.
I'll give him a tiling because he knows who he is.
He knows what's good. Hello, Will, Dan, and Charlie, a.k.a. the Casanova of Perth.
Oh.
Okay.
Charlie's very happy.
Yeah, very happy about that.
Much appreciated.
Charlie does put together part of our run sheet and wouldn't be surprised if he just slipped that in there.
Yeah.
Anyways, story time. This is
Not the
from
only thing he's slipped in.
This is from Philip White, tiling. Story time. About a week ago, my son was going on an adventure to make paste in the Swan Valley. Now, when I first read this, I thought they went out and did pasta in the Swan Valley. It's just a typo. His son went out to make pasta in the Swan Valley, which is a very good little thing I've heard about. Something to do on the school holidays. Anyways, my son called me after this adventure to tell me he'd made me pasta and it was going to be my dinner tonight. I love a good pasta dish, so I was excited. After a long, hard day on the tools, I returned home, really looking forward to the big, beautiful pasta dish.
Tools.
Now, I'm not sure who taught my son how to make pasta, but I'm sure 3 cups of salt isn't on the recipe, which is what it tasted like.
Right.
Seeing my son, however, look at me with expected approval eyes, I chewed that first mouthful, swallowed, and gave him a big thumbs up. My son with the question of, "Do you like it, Dad?" I both mental and physically prepared myself to eat the whole meal. After I finished, I had to drink 2 liters of water to get the taste of salt out of my mouth. I even considered going to the hospital because I thought my kidneys might give up.
Oh, boy.
I was in a lot of pain. So my question is, have you ever hurt yourself physically just so a kid's feelings wouldn't be hurt? I've got an answer, so while you...
Right, I don't. That's a great little email there, Philip.
Thank you for it. So a little while ago, my son Louis, who's 3.5, was in need of a haircut. And...
Be like yourself.
I just had one.
Oh, looks good.
When's the last time you went to get one of your...
A haircut?
Yeah, boys a haircut?
Oh, not that long ago, yeah.
It's surprising how much you pay for a kid's haircut.
Okay.
$25-$30. Anyways, my wife thought, we're not going to pay that. I'm going to do it myself.
Oh.
So there was a day in the last sort of 3 or 4 months, I was at home, don't know what I was doing. Beck runs in the room and she goes, I need you to come into the kitchen now and I need you to look at Louis' hair and tell him it's a really good haircut. And I'm like, oh, what have you done? So I walk into the kitchen and Louis, it's bad, man.
It's real bad.
It's real bad. She's used my beard trimmer.
What?
To shave his, not to shave his head, sorry, to like
Sounds like to shave his head.
trim, and it's looked like Noel Gallagher. Is that the guy from Oasis?
I assume so.
Tiny, short fringe, long sides, bit of a mullet cut. It looked awful, and I had to walk in the room and go, mate, love the haircut, and he's there with the towel around him, excited about getting a haircut. It's been butchered. Let's be honest. It's been butchered. And that's the only thing I could think of where I had to go,
That's
you know
perfect. He's had the bowl
Love
haircut.
the haircut, mate. Really good. And he's stoked.
And you know what? Shame on you, Beck Const. Shame on you. Dish out the $25 and give little Louis a nice little treat.
Decent trim.
How would you feel if Louis came in and cut your hair, Beck? I know you listen to this. Chris has sent this in.
Okay. Just Chris. Hey, Will and Dan, long-time listener of the podcast ever since the days of Jacob Brennan and Callum Sinclair.
Eyes.
Massive throwback.
This is a very, very
Huge
big
throwback.
time listener. My man, Chris.
Just writing in to ask if you guys in the future would be interviewing football content creators on YouTube. Just to name a couple like Caden McDonald and True Footy might be a good fit to grow the YouTube side of the podcast. Now, what Chris has done, I think he's just given promos to other podcasts, but that's fine because our rule is you send it, we read it.
The literal name of the segment is "You send it, we read it." You want me to read an email that says Dan is a big piece of no good
something.
I'll read it.
Yeah, that's
very good. Look, we have considered that, but look, we got Mitch Johnson, one of the greatest cricketers of all time, on the podcast. So the lads over at True Footy and Caden and the boys, just a little bit
great people.
Just a little bit below that, but that's okay.
We've got things that we
I'm
need
sure.
to do.
I'm sure we'll get to some point.
Busy.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to some point in this podcast where the
We're
guests.
scraping them. No, I'm joking.
Oh, we
Hey,
did
guys.
Josh Gull up a couple of weeks ago. So,
true.
Shane.
Okay.
Hi, Shane.
Hey guys, firstly, my apologies for the lack of underscores in my email address. It was created years before underscores were important.
Very good, Shane.
I'll have to create a new one now.
Yes, you will.
You may be aware that Daniel Ricciardo is back in Perth at the moment. Surely he would jump at the opportunity to get on the pod while he's in town. By the way, well, let's address that first.
No, finish it off.
By the way, I believe it is now 1-1 between Scoey and Dan, as Scoey was bested by Peter Bowl. And Dan, you were blown out of the water by Boland, Scott Boland, who had crazy
How was I beaten by
bowls.
Peter Bowl? Oh, he's Australian record holder. Yeah.
Fourth or fifth fastest in the world at the moment. The records just came, the rankings just came out in the 800, fourth, fifth.
No, he's
in the
quite
world.
fast.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, I did it when I was 17 years old. He's had 10 more years running. Could have done it.
Yep. Keep up the great work, but you didn't. Keep up the great and content, guys.
All right. You want me to address the Daniel Ricciardo thing?
Yes.
I haven't really told you about this. Do you even know what this is? Caught up with Dan for about 3 hours the
Went
other
for
day.
a run and a coffee.
Daniel Ricciardo. I did not go for a run. He invited me for a run and a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I said, would love to do that. Don't back myself in to be able to keep up with you. Even though your profession has nothing to fucking do with running,
Yep.
I am far removed from that.
You were having the eggs Benny back at the cafe while he went for the run and met you at the table.
Correct. So, look, I put it to him. I said, time for you to come back on the podcast. He's been on BackChat podcast before. And he said, no. He said, absolutely not. Can't do it this time around, but we will make it happen in the future. What I did learn, though, look, this isn't a name drop, but if I'm going to name drop, this is the man. I spent a bit of time with Dan. It was one-on-one, had a bit of a lunch, just a bit of a catch-up. Been very close since we first united when we were about 17, 18 years old. I've never sat with someone at a lunch, at coffee, in nightclubs in Perth. I would say Nick Natanui, Ben Cousins, those sort of guys would be recognisable. And whenever
Dan
you go and
Const.
do those sort of things, Dan Const, yes. Charlie the Bachelor.
Just wait.
Daniel Ricciardo, every single person in the restaurant we were in came for a selfie. Everyone. I'm not kidding. There was 20 people. And then people coming off the street, not ordering anything in the cafe to come and speak to him. and
Sure.
to get photos. I took about 15 of those. So hello to anyone in Perth that has a nice selfie of me smiling back at you.
Very good.
Yeah, the old
I love
switcheroo.
doing that. Yep.
I found the whole experience, I don't know, like not depressing, but like Dan Ricciardo's life is not this celebrity loving, money making, best in the world type thing. Like he couldn't sit down for lunch to just, like, I'm not his best mate, but like sit down with a mate and just talk without. I reckon we couldn't get through 5 minutes without someone coming up and being like, hey, sorry to interrupt, but also going to completely interrupt what you guys are doing, and here's a phone.
I don't want to interrupt, but I will.
That I heard that 10 times within 2 hours. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. So he's proper
It's a
famous.
big deal. Yeah, he's proper.
Maybe not as famous as Mitch Johnson. I mean,
They're in their fields. They are in the same realm.
anyway, that's what we've got to say about Dan Ricciardo. That's you said it, we read it as well.
Big fan, Dan Ricciardo.
Mitch Johnson coming up. Very, very lucky to have in studio for the first time. We got a nice little setup in here. Mitch Johnson, how are you, mate?
I'm great. It's great to be here.
Look, we saved not the best till last, but we saved the first to last. The best to first.
Yep.
Mate, we are very appreciative of your time. Thank you for coming in. I wanted to start with a question we ask every guest that we have on this podcast, BackChat podcast.
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard a lot about the podcast. We ask every guest. Now, we know you're a good cricketer. I'm about to go through your stats, and honestly, didn't actually think you were even this good, but you are. You're one of the best of all time. No, honestly, I was doing my research for this, and you surprised the shit out of me. Not because I didn't think you were a good player. I just, like, wowee. But
I heard you are a massive follower of cricket, so
someone's stitching me up here.
It's the bat and ball one.
that's all right.
What is the best sporting achievement you've ever achieved? Not on the cricket pitch. We don't care that you're a good cricketer. We don't care that you're slinging them down at 150 k's an hour. What have you done off the cricket pitch that's going to impress us in the sporting realm, Mitch?
What is this?
This isn't no trick question. So Andrew Bogut answered with he beat Phil Hellmuth in a game of poker once. Peter Bowl can dunk a basketball. Tom Hawkins won the under 15 high jump in athletics. Dan Const has got a very special one that I think he'll like to roll out very quickly, but
Yeah.
maybe not now.
This is a tricky one. I mean,
I know that you weren't always a cricketer though, so
No,
think back to your junior days.
I played a bit of tennis. That was my goal. I wanted to go to Wimbledon by the age of 18. So that was my dream growing up. But I played all different kinds of sports at school. So when I was at school, I tried all different things. I actually remember going into I threw the javelin in year 12 because no one was throwing it, and I just threw it at the school carnival and threw it all right. And
No one's beating you at javelin in high school, surely.
Not at the school level. In Townsville they weren't. So I got through, and then I ended up going to the Australian. I think it was the Australian Schoolboys, and I was in Brizzy, and we threw it QE2, and I absolutely choked, but only because it was like the kids that were there, they looked like men. And they had all their shoulders were all strapped up, and they were like that wide. And I was this skinny kid who just wanged the javelin down.
So are you going with competing at the national championships with javelin, or do you have something better for us?
I can be a big suckhole here and say marrying my wife. She's a black belt, third in the world in karate. So
good.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
So you hold the handbags for your wife, who's a black belt Olympian.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone? Yeah, have you gone head to head for? She would absolutely destroy you, would she not? You'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, I got her to hit me when I first met her. It was actually when we first met here in Perth.
Pick up line.
It was pretty much, yeah, it worked. She hit me about 5 or 6 times in the stomach. She said, "Are you sure you want me to do it?" I was like, "Yeah, like come on." Like at the time it hurt, but I woke up the next morning and I felt like I had internal bleeding. So I don't think it was. It wasn't a great idea. But yeah, I'm trying to think of achievements.
Javelin's
I think
pretty good.
Just getting through school probably was an achievement.
Good, I like it. Javelin. I think we're going with javelin. I think javelin's the one.
Makes sense too.
Yeah, it was just out of the blue, to be honest.
I got some little things to read at you here, Mitch. Now, this is to qualify my comments off the top about how surprised I was that you were such a great player. Now, that is not to underrate what you've done. It's to underrate my mental capacity in actually taking in what cricketers have done in this nation. Fourth highest total international wickets behind Shane Warne, Glenn McGrath,
Big.
Brett Lee,
Not a big one.
Binger. Fifth highest test wicket taker in Australian history. Third most worldwide for left-handers. Third most wickets as a left-hander, behind only...
Was him and Chaminda Vas?
You're my man. That's
good.
it.
I don't know how to say it. Don't ask me to say Chaminda's full name, by the way. I don't know if you've ever...
Absolutely
won't try
not.
it.
We're not going to be pronouncing that. That is my true weakness. You've got an innings that your best figures in one innings. So I'm going to get Dan to perhaps give his. What's your best figures in an innings?
So in the final, Chewett Hill Cricket Club, 5 for 16.
What age group?
Under 12s.
Actually, here's it. There it is there.
Well, I didn't bring it up.
Did you preload him with?
I noticed this as I came in. I was like, so is that
No,
your...
you didn't. Dan said to you, "Hey, just pull the trophy out right
He just
at the
tapped
end."
me under the table.
Go
there.
on.
Is
No, this is so I wasn't much of a bowler.
that actually it?
Yeah.
This is
Oh, wow.
genuinely the
This
pure-
is this is literally the ball from the final.
Yeah, cool.
Right arm leggies in under 12s. They don't know how to bat against that. And you know we always say shit gets wickets. So you bowl some loopy ones, you get caught a few times,
Yeah, I like
swing and
it.
miss.
Is that impressive to you?
5 for
Mitch?
16.
5 to
yeah.
16?
Yeah, 5 for 16. Any five is pretty good, I think. Yeah.
I
Doesn't
didn't
matter what level it's
I
at.
didn't walk off with the ball in my hand. I did forget to do that. I think at 12 I wasn't.
Yeah, there wasn't much of that around, I don't think.
In
It's
one
all-
innings,
it's all
five
about the
wickets.
batsman.
You ever taken 5 in one innings?
Yeah.
Ever
couple-
taken 6?
couple- Yeah.
Ever
couple
taken
times.
7?
Yeah.
Ever taken 8?
Yeah.
8 wickets.
Took an 8. Yeah.
You pissed all over your 5 mate.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sure.
5
Yeah. When I was 12, what did you do when you were 12? Probably much better. Actually.
trying to play
I
Wimbledon.
was trying to play Wimbledon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't good enough.
8 for
Me and
60,
Leighton.
8 for 61 in an Ashes test. Is that correct?
Expensive.
No, I was against South Africa.
Oh,
So
well.
probably up there with an Ashes series where when you play against, they were probably one of the best teams, if not sort of pretty close to us at the time. They had some of the best players in the world, and Dale Steyn, they had Morne Morkel, they had A.B. de Villiers, Jack Scullis was still playing. Got him out in that game, actually. That's a good memory to have. But, yeah, we ended up losing that game. So it's one of those ones where I get asked. I was just at a camp recently, a cricket camp for some young kids, and they that was one of the questions. That was, what's your best, bowling innings? And I said, personally, 8 for 61 was my very best, but we lost the game, so it doesn't feel quite as
Yeah,
a
I've
great
been there.
achievement in some ways.
What about you?
That was in the grand final. We lost that grand final, even with my 5 for 16.
How
I
can
mean,
you say 5 for 16 and you lose the game?
I rolled the tail end. That's, I think they probably had already won, but in junior cricket, they don't. Once a team's won, they let you play out the over, so everyone gets a turn. And,
I've left the best to last here. You're the second Australian ever to have scored 2,000 runs and over 300 wickets. You name the other person?
Yeah, Warney, I think it is, yeah.
So you and Warney sit at the top of that table.
We're very similar, me and Warney.
Tell me how.
No, just, yeah, when I heard that stat, I've heard that one before, and it's a pretty special one to have, actually, because I went through my career, I'm a bowler, but I always enjoyed my batting, and I did a lot of work on my batting when I was younger because I had 4 stress fractures in my back when sort of the age of 18 till about 23. And I pretty much went back to grade cricket and I was batting a heap, scoring a few hundreds there and in grade cricket. But, to be able to have that come up at the end of my career, it's pretty special. And there's only, you say 2 of us, so
Mate, it's
I'll take that. I think
It's
Starkey will be probably the next one the way he's going. So,
He's on the way.
yeah.
A question I had was, I don't know if it's just me, but have Australian bowlers for a long time been able to wag at the back end of innings better than any other country? I feel like our bowlers have been able to bat for a long time.
Oh, we definitely pride ourselves on it when I was playing, and I think still now it's we've all got a bat. That's the thing. You go to a training session and you sort of do your bowling, and then you got to try and balance everything out after that. So you're fielding and you're batting. We don't really get much time in the nets to bat. The batsmen take it all up. So you have a look at guys like Marnus and Smith. They spend a fair bit of time. Back when I was playing, it was Haydos actually spending a fair bit of time in the nets. And so, yeah, anytime we get our chance to do a bit of work in the nets with the bat, it was we'd pride ourselves on it.
Is it equivalent, do you think... I've got to ask how big of a footy fan you are, but is it equivalent for a backman kicking goals? Like, because I used to pride myself on being an accurate goal kicker, but I didn't get to kick a goal every game. Like, you got to bat every game.
Yeah.
Is it a string you have to your bow? Whereas a backman, I mean, if you kick a goal as a backman, it's fucking potluck.
Yes, I guess like I don't follow the footy as much. Like I love live sports.
Yeah.
So like we love watching like the footy when I first moved over here. Being a Queenslander, it's all rugby league. So yeah, I don't know. Like I guess if you're on the field, I'd sort of expect you'd have an opportunity to kick a goal. I guess, but sort of similar with cricket. It's we have to bat. So we like to sort of rub it in the batsman's face sometimes because they whinge about, you only get one ball, like one chance. Like if you nick off, you're out. Like you bowlers, you get, if you're bowling, you get more, 6 balls at them, and then you get a rest and then come back and bowl. And then, but yeah, so there's always those arguments. But we just pride ourselves on it, and we just give it back to them when we can.
Because the batters don't bowl. Really,
generally,
you don't see Matty Hayden coming into bowl, and if he did, he'd get absolutely spanked all over the field. Correct.
I tell you what. So when I first started playing for Queensland, Matty Hayden and Andrew Simons. So Andrew Simons did bowl. He bowled spin and a little bit of pace. One of my very first net sessions, so I would have been 18 years of age, 18 or 19, somewhere around that age, and I'm running in at the Gabba nets, and they're generally pretty green. They look like your chair over there. They've got a fair bit of green, and they do a fair bit. And I ran in with a new ball, and back then I was just so naive. I didn't care who was in the net, so I was just running in. And I was bouncing them, and Haydos is like jumping around, and I was giving it to Simons as well. Anyway, I've padded up, and I see that those two blokes, they go to where the balls were, and they actually, next to where the balls were was a box, and it was a box of brand new balls. And they've just gone straight to that, picked out the brand new balls, and they said, "It's your turn now, youngster." And they just bounced the crap out of me. But it was quite funny because I sort of like deserved it because you gain your respect, and I was always pretty quiet, but yeah, I'd always respected the guys. But yeah, pretty naive when I first came in, but it was a good memory. It's one of those good memories that I have still to this day.
Yeah.
With the batters being able to bowl as well. I mean, I remember at junior cricket, the best player is always the best batter and bowler. So like there must come a time when you get to a level where bowlers are bowlers and batters are batters. Leading up to that, you're opening the batting and the bowling. Yeah,
I guess like through my teen years, when I was playing club cricket, my best mate Dylan, who moved over here sort of after school, him and his brother Dave got me into playing cricket, and me and Dylan used to. So he would open the bowling with someone, and then I'd be first change. He was the only one that could take my bowling, so he would keep. Right. So he'd do his spell, then he'd have to go and keep to me. But then we'd sometimes bat together at the top as well. So he was a better player than what I was growing up. Because I wasn't really interested in cricket, to be honest. I was just playing it because they sort of you bowl fast and you left armour, and I had no idea what that meant. I was just like, yeah, cool, like have fun, enjoy myself. But yeah, we'd open the batting sometimes, or I'd bat sort of 3 or 4. So yeah, you go to that point where there's guys that definitely stand out through their teen years. But then I hit like the senior years, and there was a guy called Horse, this big like gangly bloke. And back then it was still no helmets. Like there were helmets there, but I never wore a helmet. And my first net session against him, like he's just like charging in, and like you're getting bounced and you're sort of getting hit like all over the body. And And it sort of wakes you up a little bit. You realise that you're not that good. And you've got to protect yourself and then get better.
Horse.
I feel like every cricket team's
massive.
got a guy on there named Horse who's like who's big and
Off the
gangly.
long run, who's like 45 years old, slinging them down.
Yeah.
So you were, as a young kid, you said you played tennis, try to make it at Wimbledon, whether or not that worked out or not, but you effectively were plucked from some sort of camp. Dennis Lillee laid eyes on you and said you're a once-in-a-generation type bowler. Is that right? Is that
Something along those lines, yeah. We had a camp in Brisbane. So my cricket club in Townsville always were trying to get me to these camps and get me seen. So they were really pushing for it. But I was always, tennis came first for me, and they knew that. But this opportunity came. I was would have been about 6 months out of high school. Literally had a conversation with my dad 2 weeks before I went to this camp about joining the army or going to TAFE, because I was decent on the computer doing like websites and stuff like that. So I don't know why, but I was just somehow I enjoyed it and did well. But so that was the sort of 2 options, and then this camp came up, and I went down to the camp in Brizzy, and Dennis was there, and I was actually bowling to Lee Carsterdine later in the day in the net. So Lee Carsterdine, Queensland player, but also was on Survivor. Getting his rig out, loved getting his rig out when he was a cricketer as well. So nothing's changed there. But so I went to this camp and Dennis was there, and basically I walked up to him. He sort of called me over and he said, introduced himself, and I didn't recognise him at first because he was older. But he still had the same sort of attire, like with the shirt unbuttoned, his hair was out, he had the chain, still had the gold chain.
Wow.
So it was like...
What, in casual attire?
Yeah, he had like a button-up casual sort of shirt. And I think he had pants on as well, so...
Flared,
probably flared, yeah.
Were you quick? Is that what you were strength? Is that like if he lays eyes? Were you always quick, or is that something you learned to be?
Yeah, I don't know. See, there was a young kid that was rapid like through school, and he played schoolboys with us, and I think he played a little bit of grade cricket. And I always looked up to him. I was like, man, I wish I could be as quick as him because he's so fast. But apparently, like on that camp, I was in the indoor nets off a short run, and they had a speed gun there, and I was bowling 140 at 17 years of age.
In an indoor net?
In an indoor net, yeah.
Because you get because I've played a bit of indoor, you get 3 metres.
Oh, no, we had...
I just
wasn't
look
a
forward
typical indoor net.
Right.
So you had a little bit of a run-up, but it wasn't a full run-up.
Can we get a counter, Charlie, on how many times Dan tells Mitch Johnson, one of the greatest bowlers to ever grace the cricketing field for Australia? Oh, I remember when I used to do this at cricket. Can you get a counter on it, please?
I'm going to keep a counter going, but I don't have that much memory on my laptop. Let's see how we go.
Well, when we do need you to jump in the nets, Balcatta, Seamers, come
Are
back.
you
I've been to a few,
still playing
yeah.
cricket?
Been to a few.
Still playing?
Actually, they're probably my best figures.
What, indoors?
Yeah, I had
Tenfer.
it was
Don't
something like
tell me
that. It was, well, actually, it made the local papers.
How'd you rock it up to indoor cricket?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
playing like
Mitch
B
Johnson.
grade or
I'd
C
be
grade.
devastated.
Rub it in
Because once you get out, you stay at the crease. You keep getting bowls
Yeah, it was like, I had something like, I don't know, 9 or 10 or 11 for
negative.
something.
Yeah,
I think it was.
yeah.
It was something stupid. Like,
I would leave.
but I was bowling
pretend
spin.
pull a
Like,
hand
I
in.
wasn't. And occasionally, like, I'd bowl like a quicker one. But yeah, it was good fun just doing it because of my mates. But
So we've had Whippersnapper Distillery jump on board with us, Jono, and I've offered you one to start with, and you're off the drink though. We've finished it up this year.
yeah, at the moment. So
that's nothing on Whippersnapper Distillery.
No.
This is some of the smoothest stuff in the business.
Well, I've spent a bit of time there when I was still playing for the Scorchers, drinking coffee
Good.
there. So
Well,
and
if it's
always-
whiskey just as good as coffee, I tell you that right
yeah.
now.
Well, I've always wanted to do the tour there. So and sort of always asked about what they had there. So it was
Yeah.
But at the moment, just before Chrissy, I just decided to have a bit of a break. Whether it will be a long break or a short break, I don't know yet. But I had a fair few breaks throughout my career where I'd stopped drinking. Did it for 12 months, 1 year. Just had a few drinks with AJ Ty in the room one night when we were in Sydney, I think it was, and just woke up feeling like crap. Three beers, and I was, it just didn't sit well with me. So when I set myself to something, I stick to it, and I told myself in that moment I was going to do 6 months. I ended up doing 12 months. So, it's not like I enjoy having a drink every now and then. I enjoyed celebrating with the boys when we could and had those chances. I just think over time, I've become a bit more understanding of what it does to me and how I feel when I drink or how I feel when I wake up the next day.
It forms a big part of cricketing culture, drinking.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's definitely changed though. Like you do have to pick your times, and it's pretty. The schedule's a lot fuller than what it used to be, especially even when I first started. It was definitely it's changed a bit, but yeah, it's just more. I'm just looking at. I've just turned 40, looking at it as a health kind of thing, and in my recent times talking about depression and ADHD, and I'll probably say this reason this time was more for just doing it for the wrong reasons. I was trying to probably block things out, which doesn't really help. So, I'm happy not having a drink. We had a friend's party not too long ago, and everyone was having a drink and a good time, and I still had a great time. Like I know how to have a good time without drinking. I just say to him, I'm the one that's going to wake up tomorrow and be able to tell you guys how your night was, because you're going to forget. So, no, I'm pretty used to it. But
we had Chris Maston on the podcast. He was he's my best mate. He was diagnosed ADHD very early on in his career.
Yep.
And I asked him about how that affected the way he played and how he was as a player around the club, but also his personal life. How does that sit with you? Because it's different for everyone.
I mean, I didn't find out until probably more so after my playing days. So when I look back, there was definitely signs of depression and ADHD. So the thing that my wife actually picked up was I used to sit on the couch and I'd had the remote control for the TV in my hand, and I'd be doing little patterns as I'm watching TV, and she'd be going, "What are you doing with your hand?" I was like, "No, nothing." And I knew I was doing it, but it was just I'd just sit there and just do these patterns, and it was like sort of calming for me, I guess. But yeah, I could never stay still, sort of thing. Like I'd come home from a tour and I didn't really want to stay still. I didn't want to just sit in the house. So yeah, there was a few things that I noticed through my career, and it's probably more so now where I sort of think about it more. I'd be having conversations with people and just sort of looking through them, picking up on certain words, and then I'd be able to feel like I'm in the conversation. So it sort of just became, I thought that was just pretty normal. I thought it was me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So on reflection, if that's a later in life diagnosis, would you
I think
have
it
liked
worked
to have found out?
No, I think it worked out fine. I think for me as a sportsman, like it was part of who I was and how I was able to operate, really. I just threw everything into my cricket and that was fine. But now it's like I've got kids, you've got other parts of your life to sort of deal with now. So it's about making sure I can sort of be more present with that. I've sort of off the antidepressants, but I'm on the ADHD sort of medication just for the moment because it sort of helps me focus a bit. So that's where I'm sort of at the moment with that. But it's something I thought about like through my career, and I look back and go, I don't wish that I had found out any earlier, because I think that could have struggled, because I noticed over the last couple of years that I've definitely changed a bit with my thought processes and the way that I go about things. I'm definitely not as committed to things at the moment. My cricket I was fully committed to. I guess that was my career as well. And I had all my focus. It's sort of like a hyper focus, I guess. I don't think I would have had that hyper focus if I was on medication.
How did that work then, playing Test cricket when team bats first and you might sit there for 2 days in the change rooms? Like, I've always thought, like, what are the bowlers doing in there? Like, are you getting bored, or are you getting fidgety? Are you feeling like you need to go do something?
Yeah, it gets a bit fidgety. Sometimes it's all right when you've been out bowling for a couple of days and you come in and you just want to rest up for a bit. But yeah, you get a bit fidgety. You just try and find things to do, and you sort of got to watch the game a little bit, but you also don't want to burn out watching the whole thing. You sort of, some guys didn't mind watching it every single ball. Some of the guys would actually watch games of cricket when we get back to the hotel Yeah, and watch
Who's doing
well,
that?
Steve Smith. He was one of them. You get to get a massage or some physio, and the TV would come on, and it'd be more cricket. It's like I just did not want to watch any more cricket. Being out in the dirt for, bowling 20 overs out there, and it's the last thing you want. You just want to switch off. But yeah, no, everyone was different. I was pretty, you weren't really allowed to sleep. That was one thing. You sort of didn't want to just nod off. Although sometimes you jump on the massage table and
get a massage and wake up 3 hours later.
Yeah.
Well, you've played for Australia across all formats: Test, One Days, T20, everything in between. Reflecting on your whole career, what was the most enjoyable for you? No, that's also keeping in touch the mentality, but the physical element as well. What was the best part of cricket for you?
I just really enjoyed the team aspect of it. Like, and it goes back on, when I got 8 for 61, and I said, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, it's not a real big standout moment, even though it's my best figures. It's more, it was always about the team for me, and winning the World Cup in 2015 was huge. Doing it in Australia was, just absolutely phenomenal. But just doing it with the guys and seeing how proud the guys were of what their achievements were, and that made me happy, just to be a part of that. And I sort of felt like I had some sort of influence on those guys as well, especially being a senior player. You sort of help out where you can, and they're always asking questions, these new guys that come through, and but we're all all in it together. So that's how I felt. Ashes series 13-14 was absolutely amazing, on a personal level, but just to be able to go out there and win 5-0 after they had beat us in England before that. And I'd had a few struggles against England at times, so it was just nice to be able to do that. But yeah, that friendship, that bond, the bowlers always hung out. And then you get to the end of your career, and everyone sort of separates. So because you play for Australia, everyone lives in different states.
Yeah.
So it makes it pretty hard to sort of, travel and keep in touch. And that's why I've enjoyed doing some of the commentary stuff, and sort of missed it again this year with COVID, because you get to catch up with players that I've played with, and some of the guys are in commentary, some are still playing. So you get to catch up, and but yeah, just the team aspect was amazing.
So the team aspect, what about, keeping in mind that, if you feel like you probably had depressive traits, if not depression and ADHD while you're playing, the mentality of the weight of the nation, playing for Australia is different to playing club cricket for Queensland or amateur, or whatever, right? Was that something that you found difficult or enjoyed, the Australia being on or against you?
Yeah, at first it was awesome. The first year you don't really get too much attention. Even if you play well, you'll get talked up a little bit, but they give you a bit of leeway, I reckon, in that first year.
Give him a go.
Yeah, it's he's just finding his feet type of thing, and it takes about a year to sort of find your feet. To be honest, with all the travel and being away from home, all the different all the different places you travel to. So it does take that time, and then after that you start to, if you have a bad performance or two, it starts to creep up on you. You've got to learn how to deal with it. And I probably didn't deal with it that well at first. Sometimes you take things personally. Sometimes there was personal things that were written about you, and I didn't like, because I just felt like I just play cricket. Why does personal stuff have to be involved in it? I'm not a celebrity. I'm just out there enjoying myself. But yeah, so it took a little bit. I sort of was a bit up and down with the media throughout my career. I sort of didn't want to speak to them at one point. A couple of us were pretty dirty at them for some of the stuff that was coming out. But then realised that if we can build good relationships with some of these media guys, then that's going to be good. We can move forward, and that's sort of what happened at the back end of my career. So it was a bit of a roller coaster ride, but it was something you have to learn on the go. You can get all the training you want. I don't think that it's going to help a little bit, but it's more experience and getting out there, the pressures of the game, the pressures of people wanting you to do well, expecting you to get wickets all the time. I'll give a couple examples, actually. I mean,
Good.
Shane Watson was hammered
Yep.
by media, by public. And I just say, and I've had friends say it as well, I just say, well, just have a look at it, right? And you can say it now because we haven't really got an all-rounder. Cameron Green's coming through now. Mitchell Marsh is stepping up again. I say, well, maybe Shane Watson was at his best. Maybe that was all he could give. And it was actually pretty good if you look back at it because of what we've had since. We haven't really had that player since. So I sort of get people to look at it in that way. And I say, look, his training session, he's got a field, he's got a bowl, and he's got a bat. So he's doing all three facets of the game.
He was opening the batting.
And
like first drop bowler kind of thing, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And that's not easy to do. Jarks Cullis was able to do it for a very long period of time. He was probably the last... Pure, yeah. And he could bowl fast too. And he, batted 3 and 4. So it's not an easy thing. And so he copped a fair bit of criticism over that. And so I tried to put it back to people who would sort of give it to him about that. So, and then my other thing was when I copped criticism and, like as a bowler, you're meant to go out there and get wickets. That's your job. But sometimes when you're looking from the outside, you don't know exactly what's going on the inside of the team and how the team, the bowling unit are meant to work together. It's really big. Like we always talked about batting partnerships. They always, getting big partnerships, 50s and 100s and so on. Bowling partnerships are just important. I'd through that 13-14 series, if Peter Siddle, Ryan Harris, Shane Watson and Nathan Lyon didn't bowl to their plans and the plans that we talked about and play their role, then I wouldn't have been able to achieve the amount of wickets I got. And our partnership bowling wouldn't have been the same. So I had to be aggressive and try and stir the batsman up, bowling short balls, going around the wicket, being aggressive that way, aiming at the stumps as well. But, if Peter Siddle came on and started to do that plan as well, it just wasn't going to work. He needed to bowl his line and length, and that's why that sort of worked. So sometimes on the outside, you don't know exactly what's going on, what plans are happening, and there's going to be days where you don't get wickets and then you get crucified for it, but you've actually played your role. And you've just got to know as a player that, okay, the team are happy. We did what we had to do. I did what I had to do as a player. Everyone's happy. Doesn't matter what the outside say. It's just, let's just keep focused on what we need to do. And, down the track, I'm going to get my time when wickets come in a big hurry. But yeah, it is really hard to shut all that out, that noise. But it's just part of it. And you have to learn. I think you have to go through bad experiences to get through it, to be honest. And I went through some pretty bad experiences out in the middle. You can't really hide. So, again, as a bowler, you go down a fine leg and you cop it constantly. So, it's I quite enjoyed at the back end of my career. I just knew exactly what I needed to do to play my best game. Yes. So, it takes time, but it's really enjoyable. I think that's the one thing is I tried to enjoy my cricket as much as I could because it could end any time. So that back end of my career was so enjoyable because I did it my way, but I also, just had fun doing it.
Talk us through...
Long answer.
No, that's good. Good stuff.
No one wants to hear us speak, mate.
Yeah.
We're all here for
I was going to ask you like a heap of questions because it's the same sort of thing in sport. Like the only thing that I feel as a cricketer, and I try and compare it to a footballer, is I don't know how much noise you can hear, what people are actually saying to you. If you're close to the boundary, I'm sure you can hear that. But I'm just saying, as a bowler, you go down there, and if you've just had a bad...
Crowds get chirpy at the cricket.
And it just takes one person to just tick you off, and it can just change your mindset, or it can change the way you feel.
Really?
So...
I think it's a different crowd. I've been to, obviously never played at a cricket game, but been in the crowd enough at a cricket that it's a murmur.
Yeah.
Whereas footy is cheering. The whole
less time.
less
so everyone
time.
gets-
The goals kick, everyone's carrying on. The ball's going back to the middle, and then it's just a free flowing. But cricket, there's a lot of sitting around, doing fuck all. And there's a lot of time for people in the crowd to think, I'm going to fucking get into this. Bloke.
Yeah.
So I can
beers.
imagine how that would happen. I didn't have many times like. Nah, that wasn't a thing for me. But there's certainly different things that have affected me mentally, for sure. Like, just not the crowd. I was in the position like you though, because I'd be a full back.
Yeah.
I never had anything too bad. My always jibes about me and being bald, me being shit, and it's like, it's genetics.
So
babe.
that would have been a bit of sledging between players, surely. Like,
Sledging between players is way more than sledging fans. Like, there's not much you can do with the fans. There's not a lot you can say about. But players, especially me, like I just wasn't. I'm not playing myself down enough. I play almost 200 games, but I wasn't good enough to just go out there and match someone physically and athletically. Even though I had those things, I have to have another page in my book that I could go to, which was the mental side, which was getting under their skin. The best games I ever played was when I had a mental plan as to about how to get under their skin. The best game I ever played was the grand final, and I spent 2 weeks preparing for that game. How to get under the skin of my opponent, and there's no surprises there.
Yeah, well, that to me, that's what sledging, how they call it, like in cricket. That's what it was for me. Like it was, you hear something in the papers about a player, you're coming up. Joe Root, for instance, in 13-14, was talking about, I think it was after Brizzy or before Brisbane, the first test. He was changing something to do with his hands or his feet or something. So we read it and we just went, "Oh, how good's this?" Like, so basically, I'd bowl the ball. So I'd bowl the ball and I'd say to Hads, "Oh, is he doing that thing with his hands now? Like, I think he's just done it." Then he'd be like, Hads would be like, "Yeah, I think he just moved him then."
And then have someone else go, "No, he didn't do it that time."
Yeah, so that's the that's the clever stuff that I enjoyed. It's mind games. You still had to control yourself. Like there was times where you go overboard and you get a bit too much.
Did you have that?
Oh yeah, but it was. I look back now, it's more frustration about me. I was more frustrated at myself. It wasn't about the player. It was more like I didn't maybe bowl the ball where I wanted to, or it got nicked through, or you got hit for a cover drive. When you get frustrated at yourself, and it's not the batsman really. It's just you get frustrated at your own stupidity of bowling a crap ball or something.
Do you get then roped in a bit with that? Like, I remember a time when then they were saying, "Man, Mitch needs to
chalk it up."
Needs to.
I think you were telling about when you used to play cricket.
No, I was going to remember a time like when they were saying like Mitch is like sledging a fair bit, and there was a bit of media coverage around it. Like, do they call you in and go, "Mate, like maybe don't stare down the batter every single ball," or are they? Yeah,
the umpires are pretty good. They'll generally say something. And I started to not enjoy it at the end because of all the new stuff that was coming in. And I remember bowling a ball and I sort of followed through and had a bit of a stare, and the umpire come racing down, and the umpire made it look bad. It wasn't because of us. I was just like, I'd stared at the batsman and I just took that 1 second a bit too long for his liking. And so he's raced down and, come back. I said, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm just staring at him. Like, I'm not saying anything. He goes, "Oh no, it looks bad." You just made it look bad.
There's always a lot of coverage of, cricket change rooms are sometimes near each other. There's interaction, obviously, after games. We've seen the latest Ashes. A few boys got pulled off the top roof terrace by the cops for having a few beers after. So I think there's more interaction for cricketers. One, because you don't only just play for your countries. You play in the IPL, you play for county cricket, that sort of stuff. So you do all know. It's a bit more of a community than...
It is, yeah.
Was there ever, though, a stage where what happened on the field came off the field? Did you have any circumstance? I'm not telling you in. I don't know the answer to this.
Oh no, there was. Yeah,
Please,
there's been a few occasions.
Really?
Actually, the 14. So it was after the Ashes series when we came back. The summer after, we played India, and Rohit Sharma. I played at Mumbai Indians with him, and that year. Ricky Ponting got dropped as the captain of that team and Rohit took over.
Right.
So as much as I got on fine with Rohit, that was MO for me when
Ricky still...
Ricky still played
Yeah.
that year, but he was just not the captain.
Yeah.
They changed about halfway through.
Okay.
Ricky was fine with it. Like, he was at the end of his
Yep.
career type thing. So we got to the Gabba, and I just, like, it was stuck with me that whole time about what had happened. So I knew that Rowett would lose it if I had said something about that. So we're out in the middle, and I think it was I'd been bowling, and I said to Rowett, I said, "Oh, you stole the captaincy from Ricky," like, and I gave it to him about it.
You can swear on this podcast if you
Oh,
want to add
cool.
some colour.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's
There would
okay,
have
it's
been,
okay.
a few swear
Just give
words
you
in it.
permission.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I was just sort of giving it to him about that, and he like blew up, like, and we came in for the break, and we sort of go into the same area to eat, and he got really heated just before we walked in there, and we got face to face, and the security guy was there like laughing his head off because it was like, what are you blokes going to do? You're not going to like fight. But it was like, he got really like angry about it. He goes, "Oh, you can't say that like about, I didn't take his like position." Like, I said, "You did, mate." Like, so I just kept like winding him up, baiting him.
At the buffet.
Yep. So anyway, we've come out to bat in our innings, and he's come straight up to me as I've marked centre, and he's like into me about it, like, "You're a fuckwit," like this and that. Like, he's trying to take me off my game, and I love that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I felt like that got me going.
Right.
So I got to 30, and I said,
Got to 30?
I got to 30. I got 50 and I got 50 or 60, I think, in that match. And I said, "Have you got any more to say, Rowett? Because you're helping me. You're going to get me to 50. And he shut up then. Like, that was it. And, made 50 or 60. And but, yeah, that kind of stuff does happen. Happened with a guy, Silliman Ben, Perth at the Wacker. Big, tall guy, spinner.
Yes.
Myself and Brad Haddon used to like getting into a bit. Wicket keepers don't mind a bit of that. And we're out there batting, and we went to take a run, and Solomon Ben's grabbed onto me, and you're not allowed to like grab. Like, it's not.
I remember this.
It's not like footy or anything like that. And so like he's grabbing onto me, and I'm going like this, like my bat, trying to get him off me. And Hads comes running over, and he's like pointing his bat, and you're not really meant to do that either. The gentleman's game. So Hads is like, "You can't fucking do that, mate." Anyway, so we had a couple more balls to go, I think, and we start walking off. And so me and Hads are walking off, and Silliman Ben's behind us, like, he's talking to us, like chirping. And I'm just saying to Hads, I said, "Hads, if I was that tall, I'd be bowling that fast. Wouldn't be bowling spin, that's for sure." And like he's getting like wound up, and it continued on into the dining area as well. And actually, Simon Kadich was in there, and it got real heated. And Simon just like snapped. He's like, "You don't want to mess with Simon, I reckon."
Yeah, I heard him in the meetings. He's quite
the
stern.
Yugoslav background. He's he snapped. He said, "You can shut your mouth," like.
Really?
So it sort of stopped after that. But
that's crazy. You eat together at lunch.
Yeah, such an
like,
interesting.
Yeah, we're sort of.
Yeah, but it's like
buffet set up, and you go up together.
Imagine that at half time. Put the oranges in the middle of the two, Collingwood and West Coast. The grand
Wouldn't work
final.
that well, would it?
Come in, suck on the
It's like
oranges,
an orange.
fellas. It's like a snake. A little Gatorade, fellas.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, honestly, I reckon I could go for about 4 hours with you, Mitch. I've got that many questions for you. You're in the media now. You talk about your
I'm trying to get more in there. Yeah.
Well, okay, here we go. Right now, here we go. This is a little media setup. No, but so you're in the media though. You've called games. You've been able to give your opinion both in the paper and social media, that sort of stuff.
Yep. Removed
from the game as a player. How do you look back on your time with your relationship in the media? You said with the media as a player. You said it was up and down as a player. Has it changed now that you're in the media, or do you think it's better? You have more perspective to be able to give opinion and balanced views, or where does that all sit?
Well, you definitely get more perspective, that's for sure. Like seeing it from the other side.
Yeah.
I still don't like some of the stuff that comes out.
What don't you like?
I think if you're going to make comment on certain things, if someone's not performing, I think you should sort of give a reason and like maybe explain a bit about it, like not just go, "Oh, you're shit," type of thing. You know what I mean? Like I know I had a couple of things to say about what Shane Warne had said throughout this summer, and I think some of it was warranted. One in particular moment was him basically ruining the moment of the first test, the Ashes test this year, with Stark getting the wicket first ball, and everyone's so pumped about it. It's something that'll always come back in history where, they'll show it on the big screen before a series or whatever. And Warney was just, it was going down leg side, didn't swing back. Was real negative about it. So that kind of stuff doesn't sit well with me. But, I mean, everyone's entitled to their views on it. That's why he's done so well in the media as well, because he is pretty harsh at times. And I think he does generally a pretty good job because he's got a cricket mind.
He sort of plays that role a bit.
He plays that role, yeah. But there's some things, I'm happy to call him out on, or I don't go after him or anything like that. Like, it's sometimes that you just get a phone call and it's like,
is there any ever follow up between, like, you know what?
Well, I didn't get to see him. No, I didn't get to see him. So I don't know what he was. If he was, I don't think he would have cared, to be honest. No. I don't think it would have bothered him.
Part and parcel a little bit.
It is, yeah. I mean, we're all making comments, and we're all going to make comments that people aren't going to agree with. So there's probably a few comments, because I'm doing the Sunday Times, and there's definitely a few comments that I'll say that people won't agree with, and I probably sound a bit hypocritical at times too. But I think that's just, I'm at that point in my life where it's like, it's not that I don't care, but I'm just going to give my opinion, and I'm always happy to discuss things. Like, it's never like one way for me. It's always like, I'm happy to talk about it, and I will change my point of, my thinking. There are some things that I'm pretty stuck on, but generally, like, I'm happy to have those conversations, because I think that's just how life works. And I've really enjoyed the media side of it. I've found it hard at times with mates playing still and making comments. I think it was an India series a couple of years ago, and I made a comment on Mitchell Starc about his body language. And I basically said, when Mitchell Starc is bowling really well, this is Adelaide Oval, when he's bowling really well, his body language is up, he looks really good, and because his body language is down, the team sort of stays, they're really flat, because the bowler and the keeper are the ones that keep everyone up. So he was like, I sort of made that comment, and a couple of journos just got that grab, and they went with that as a headline. So it sounded like I was having a crack
Johnson
at him.
hates Stark's body
basically.
Language. That's
and
it.
So
it's shit.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
People read headlines and go, but if you actually read the article, they still quote what I said. So I saw that for the first time, and I started to shit myself. I was like, fuck, what are the boys going to think now? So I sent a text straight away. I sent one to Starkey for after the game, see it. I sent one to Lino a bit later on, because I was getting no reply. They didn't reply all
Left
night.
you on red.
Next morning, I was on the ground. I had to do ground interviews with Starkey.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
No.
Lino's walking up to me, and he's just like,
no.
He's going, big brother, because we had the big brother, little brother thing going on. And he's like, big brother, mate. Fuck, that Starkey's not happy, eh?
Oh, boy.
I was like, mate, I didn't make a bad comment or anything like that. And he's like, and so he waited, and Starkey came over, and he's just like, come here, gave him a big cuddle. He's like, mate, he goes, I know what you're like. I know you wouldn't just say something for the sake of it. He goes, you're commenting on something you've seen, and we talk still. So I think that's the big thing, is we still have that friendship, and we always, have those discussions.
Yeah.
It's not just making that comment.
I also find, especially with cricket and media, that there's so much talk around selection.
Yeah.
Like in footy, players get dropped, but there's not as much scrutiny around these players need to be dropped from the side. I mean, you maybe a little bit, but cricket's so you can really narrow down one person.
There's less players. There's one wicket keeper.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So
there's 3 pace bowlers, maybe 4, and one spinner.
One or two opening batsmen that really need to perform. So. Yeah, how did you find that, even with players who are on the fringe that are constantly, their names are being brought up to sort of, oh man, they should be, prime examples Stark.
Well, I actually said, I thought at the start of the series, I thought Richardson should have played the first test. And it was a really hard decision, because I was only basing it on what Starkey had been doing over the past 12 months. He hadn't been at his best. But I said that also in the article when I made that statement. It was like, if Starkey's at his best, I'm picking him in front of Richardson.
Yeah.
But because he's not, Richardson's ready to go. He's bowling well. And I even said, I think Stark would benefit more from the pink ball test, so you play him in those. Get him a bit of confidence back. I sort of, in a way, I had egg on my face, because I made the call of didn't have him in my first test. But that's just part of it. You're going to make those. You've got to make calls, and it's not going to please everyone. It's just hard when they are your mates. But you've got to set that aside.
Put your player's hat back on. As we said, we chatted with Masto and we revealed here on BackChat podcast that players, they piss in the middle of huddles when the coin's getting tossed. Did you know that?
No.
Well, there you go. Right. So that's what we revealed here on
Form
BackChat.
a bit of a wall.
Yeah, right.
So basically, what happens?
They get down on one knee.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
What
It has happened before, but
well, I'm not asking if that. But what happens in cricket that people wouldn't know? As a cricket player and being in the sanctity of 11 players within, what happens that people who are watching just would have no idea? I mean, like for instance, all eating together in the same room. I kind of wouldn't think that would happen. Like that would be one thing that I'd think of. Is there things that happen either in the change rooms, on the field that people just wouldn't know about? There's no insight into letting them know about that.
Oh, it's a hard one. Eh?
Bloody hard question. Sorry.
No, it's good. Like it's making me think. I think with the amount of access they have these days, you see a lot of stuff now. They've gone as far as being in the dressing rooms just before guys come out now. So,
what's it like when a batter comes in and he's just gone out poorly, or he's gone out in the 90s? What's it like being in there? What's that environment like as a teammate?
Yeah, so it depends on who comes in. If it's like a Matthew Hayden, everyone just disperses. You do not stay in there.
Big volcano.
Yep. But sometimes there was guys that you go in there to see them blow up. I think Doug Bollinger was one of them.
Dougie Bollinger, one of the all-time greats. For my whole footy career, Doug Bollinger was one of the guys I followed. Doug Bollinger.
Yeah,
oh
there
boy.
you go.
So he used to blow up when he used to go out.
Oh, it's just funny. You'd love watching a few guys blow up.
Dougie Bollinger.
I'll tell you what, I've told this one before. It was in Joburg, and it was in a one-day game, and Ricky had just got out, and I got sent in at like number 4 as a pinch hitter.
Pinch hitter or night watchman?
No, pinch hitter in a one-day game. So to get our runs up a bit. So I was basically get my eye in real quick and just like tee it up as get as many runs as I can as quick as possible. And I got out like pretty cheaply, and Ricky was standing in the corner in Joburg, and I've walked in, and you sort of walk past the guys that are on a veranda, and you walk past them, come in, and there's a wall like that, and then you walk in and there's a dressing room.
Right.
I've looked, as I've gone here, there's a bat sitting up in the wall, like just like pointing out of the. I was like, through that. Anyway, like I've just like turned around the corner, I had my helmet and I threw it into the corner. Ricky was standing in the corner and he was our captain at the time. I've like bounced his helmet. He's turned around and it's like whacked him like in the side of the thing. Mate, I was petrified after that. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he sort of like let it go because he'd thrown his bat.
So he'd thrown his bat. He was still in the room.
He was still pissed off.
He's copped a fucking helmet.
He's copped the helmet in the head. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like petrified, eh?
You must have slung that so hard.
Yeah, it bounced up and bounced off the side of the wall and then hit him in the side of the head.
Imagine just standing there, just
contemplating,
sitting in your thoughts after getting out.
Well, he was watching the TV. So he had one leg up and one down off the bench, and he was watching it. Then I didn't feel as bad. I said, is that your bat up there? And he's like, yep. The roomie that looked after us was trying to get it out so he could keep it and frame it.
How much does a role of a captain play in cricket? I know what it does in footy, but I feel like cricket, they seem to almost select the team. They set the field. They change the bowl. They have a very big role.
There's a big role, yeah.
It seems like from the outside they have a bigger role than the coach, whereas like in footy, like the coach is the guy, the leader.
That's definitely, it's not the same as footy. And that's just seeing what I've seen on the outside. So yeah, I mean, as a cricket captain, it's a full-time role. Like even when Pat Cummins got the job this year, and everyone was like, "Oh, a bowler can't do it," you know. I thought maybe from a on-field point of view, you can do it as a bowler. It's all the off-field stuff as well that you don't see. So the amount of media that you have to do, you are the wanted guy. Like you have to go to all these events. You're the first person that they want. So it's all the other stuff behind the scenes that's really, quite tiring, I think. And as a bowler, you need your time to sort of get yourself right.
Who did you play under? Ponting,
Clark. I played under Clark.
Smith?
Yep. Smith for a little bit, yeah.
Anyone else? Obviously, across
not for Australia,
that's
no.
in tests.
Yeah, so I had Steve Waugh in a match in the ACT that I played when I was a bit younger.
What about the What about the IPL? That starts up whenever it starts up.
Yeah.
Did that start too late for your?
No, I played.
I know you played, but would it have been nicer a little bit early? So a fair bit of cash being splashed around, or were you right in the prime time?
So when I actually I originally signed the first contract when the IPL had started. So there was two processes that we had to go through. So I signed the initial one, but didn't sign on the second part of it because I was at that point in my career where I wasn't consistently playing for Australia. I think I just played some one-day stuff. And
what year was this?
I think it was like 07.
Right.
So I don't know if I just 7 or 8. I'd have to look because it's been over 10. It's been over well over 10 years now. So I was around that time anyway, and I wanted to establish myself in the Australian team as a test player. So I pulled out and didn't play. So I was pretty happy with that decision. And then I came back from my injury in 2011, and then I started playing in the IPL. So it was quite hard actually because that was our 6 weeks holiday. We'd play it was almost 2 months in IPL. So your holiday was gone. So as a bowler, you need that bit of break.
Yes.
We all do. We all need it. But, mate, the money.
What's the auction
it's ridiculous.
process
The boys would give you a bit of shit. It'd be like, so
because they get to see how much you're making.
Well, they get to see what you're making. And they watched the auction while it was happening. We were in South Africa one year. So everyone knows, you got $1 million. Like,
is that what it is? What you get bought at auction is what you get paid. Is that what it is?
Yep.
For 6 weeks.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
But you get taxed half of it.
Correct.
But
that's all right.
You try and find a way to get that deal a bit better, but you can't.
What's that experience like? India's a crazy cricketing nation. Crazy. I've had some people tell me about, you get 50 people down at a cricketing exhibition down here.
Yep.
You get 50,000 in Calcutta.
Well,
Delhi or wherever.
Yeah, I played in front of 110,000 in Calcutta.
Crazy.
You can't hear yourself think. No, it's an amazing experience. I had my best mate Dylan on the phone once on FaceTime. I was coming out of the elevator in Mumbai, and in the hotels they section off so the public can't get too close.
Yes.
And I came out of the elevator and I said, "Have a look at this," and everyone starts cheering. And I was like, and they just go nuts. So you are like a rock star over there.
Yeah.
It's insane. Look, it's quite hard because you can't really go outside, to be honest. There was a couple of places we'd sort of go and have a coffee or you'd find a place to escape to. But, yeah, generally, as soon as you walk outside, someone notices you. It's just pure numbers.
Right.
So
you're
a great experience.
Tallish guy as well, so you stand out.
You do stand out. But it was a great experience. And, that's the Mumbai wing at my house, they call it, the front balcony. That's what the boys used to say. But it was great for a lot of reasons. It was great because some guys that were sort of on the fringe of playing, they got the opportunity to go and play and get some experience and play with different guys from different countries. And even myself, even when I finished playing cricket, right, I was still learning. You're still learning every day in anything that you do. But I still was learning so much, and I was learning off guys that, like Bumrah. Bumrah came in at the back end of my career, and I was learning from him. So obviously he was learning from me, but I was also learning a lot from him, like being a young guy and just being raw. And you do get some great experiences from it. And I got some great mates there, and always try and keep in touch with a few of them. But I always get a fair bit of attention when I mention Virat as well. So I don't mind stirring the pot there.
Did you play with him?
I didn't play with him, but
always
had a great contest against him. When you play against the best players, that's why you play. You want to be up against the very best, and That's what I enjoyed about cricket. Was doing that, and
he's a competitor. That's what makes him
Yeah.
the best, right?
Yep.
And that's why people don't like him in terms of
Well-
if you're competing against him, like he's trying to beat you. So
well, this is the conversation we used to have. It's like he's a guy you have in your team. You want him in your team,
Yeah, you'd pick
not
him.
just because he's the best player. Like it's the way he goes about it.
yeah,
And again, like I said, I overstood the line, went over the line a couple of times. You know, with a bit of sledging and that here and there, and you push the limits, and he does the same thing. And sometimes you go, oh, what a wanker. But it's like you want him in your side. You want
Yeah.
someone that fights.
yeah,
Ben Stokes was the same guy. Like in his first test match, he almost got we smashed into each other. So
Yeah,
I
I
bowled a
remember
ball, it went down leg, and he's flicked it, and he's watching the ball, and I'm like watching the ball, and I was sort of like, and then he's like run straight into me, and I sort of like just before he ran into me, I sensed he was going to like hit me. So I sort of just went like that.
Queenslander just flashes into the eyes.
Well, you just like tense up, don't you?
yeah,
And then it was on, like we were at each other, and we had to go and see the match referee afterwards, but we got off because it wasn't intentional. But that's what I actually enjoyed that side of it.
You'd
because
respect that.
I respected that he didn't back down as well.
yeah.
I thought,
Fires
good
you
on
up
you,
at the
mate. Like
time.
your first test,
Yeah.
it's a bit cheeky, but it's like at least you know what you're getting. He's a good player. Good on him.
What's the different? So obviously a lot of different cultures that you're playing against: England, India, South Africa. Do they have like different styles in their sort of sledging approach? Like,
Yeah.
are there? I imagine. I feel like Virat he really gets into it, but he just seems polite. I don't know.
He's
like,
not polite. No. You get the Hindi words.
Yeah,
We used to learn all the bad Hindi words. So
Really?
yeah,
Slip a few of those.
that's why like when it gets reported that teams are like they're saints, it's not true. Like all teams say something at some point. There's always something going on, and he gets into it. Like so he's not. He's
not a
not just a
gentleman.
nice guy. He's,
All right. I think it's time for social media. If you got
Sounds
no more,
Before we get there,
yeah, and before we do get there, you finish with. But we're going to do this again because
Yeah.
I've got.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Mate, I don't think I've even scratched the surface.
I never liked talking, but that's all right now.
Okay, well, it's
Have
good.
to.
And then,
When you're in the media,
Good,
like it's
correct.
something that you got to do.
I think if you're in the right environment, talking's good.
Yeah.
because you can give you insight and perspective, and it's when you're on the other end and people are commenting about your performance or your benefit to the team, or where it starts being difficult to get in front of people and talk, right?
Yeah.
Beforehand, what do you got for him?
what is? And going out on a limb here. What is the name? Dino. Does Dino ring a bell to you?
There was a guy, Dino, that played club cricket.
No. So this is I went out on a limb here. BP Padbury. You know Dino?
Yeah.
That's my
Actually
dad.
or not?
Yeah, Dino, yeah. He's what was he? Must be in his 50s, I think.
Oh, yeah, he's
He'd be happy with that
70s.
too.
So he'd be very happy with
maybe,
that.
yeah.
But he looks younger. That's my dad. He's been mentioning how you come in.
really?
He has good chats with you. Because
So you go to
just-
BP Padbury and you are served by
Dino.
Yeah.
Dan's dad, Dino.
Just the other day. Yeah, always chat.
He's put into a group message from us that you guys are very, very close,
Yeah.
good mates.
Well, we always talk, yeah.
That
Yeah.
is
Always
very-
make sure
My
he's
dad
doing
is the
all
sort of guy as well who would just like to give bits of advice. Like if he saw Sky out in public, he'd say, "Hey mate, next time you play this, when you're playing out, maybe try this." Like he's very good.
I was just there before I came, actually, and one of the Indian guys was, he said, "Oh, what's that thing that you're doing with the questions?"
Oh, very
So
good.
for
Mate,
this, and he
I've
asked
got-
me a question. It was, who would you like to bowl against in today's game? Who would it be? What Indian player?
All right,
There you go.
that's a good
Let's start
first question.
social
Keep it
media.
going.
There you go.
And I said all of them. They're all too easy these days.
Mate, I've got to be honest. Social media. Look, we've seen some big guests across our time running social media, and this has been going for about 10 years. It's one of the biggest podcasting sports shows segments worldwide. I know you've played in front of some big crowds in India. You've got a big audience, but
I'm
social
nervous.
media is the big time thing. We put it out to the out to the people to ask the questions, and I've got to be honest. We've never had a reaction like we have with Mitch Johnson. Yours has gone to fucking bananas.
When you
Absolutely.
when you slide
fucking
on a phone and you're just
bananas.
losing track of letters, like you just.
Charlie over here, he's a good man. He's a hard worker. You've been busy scrolling through these, have you
That
not?
took me a long time to get through that.
Could be
That
called.
was-
ch-
I bet you the percentage of like the Indian sort of Pakistani
Yeah,
probably
I'd say it's a
80%.
fair- It's
Pretty
Maybe.
high. Pretty high.
okay.
85.
I have no idea.
They're
Obviously,
passionate fans.
They are. They actually
that's
are.
very
They're
good.
They're big
They
fans
are
of you.
very supportive.
All right, so basically here we get the people to ask the questions to you, give the people to interact. It's a great segment, social media. And again, I'm sure you've heard about it. I mean,
Yeah.
on your travels,
Well,
social media, I can't wait.
Well,
Well,
you
BP
did,
Bradbury
you
did.
You did a few of my friends recently.
Very good.
Yeah.
The Green Reaper lads.
Green Reapers and Big Josh as well.
Big Joshy Garlop.
Yeah.
He's a good man, Joshy Garlop. Now, let's kick it off. Mark. Blakely.
Blakely.
Okay.
Who do you support in the AFL and why is it West Coast?
Who do you go for? Ask that.
I'd say when I first moved here, it was I met Pav early on, so it was like I'm happy to go for Freo, and I had friends.
Happy with that.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't
that's-
now. I'd rather go for West Coast, to be honest. But
Happy
it
with
was
that,
only
Charlie?
because it was only because of
smooth.
Pav, and I'd met him, and he was a nice guy. So I was like, well,
So,
probably West Coast if I'm.
doesn't sound very strong.
Well, when I was in Queensland, it was Essendon. I don't know
Makes
why.
sense.
Maybe that was on TV. They were like Lloydie.
Yep.
Used to like watching him.
Throw the grass up.
Yeah.
You got a bit of Bounty Lloyd about you, actually. Coming off
Yeah,
the
right.
long run, long socks up,
Yeah.
tucked in,
Yeah, right.
big handlebar.
I actually played for the Coolbenia Bombers as well for my young.
So I'm pretty much whoever on the day.
If you had to,
You just want a good game.
if you had to-
I'll go West Coast.
There we go.
West Coast. I know
Yeah.
a couple of the West Coast guys. I've met a few
We
guys.
just fucking get you out of here if you're not West Coast. Doug.Willison.
How was
It's
the
not
whole?
Wilson, it's
Are these supposed to be quick answers, by the way?
No, you do your thing,
You can
mate.
rapid fire
Do
if you
your
want.
thing,
Up to
mate.
you. How was the whole SAS Australia experience?
Intense, yeah. So I've never wanted to do TV, and this opportunity came up. I'd watched the series in the UK, and so I knew about it before they even rang me. So I was all over it, and yeah. So I like I said, when I left school, I looked at joining the army, big army barracks in Townsville, and so that was sort of always sort of there. And I've got when I actually came, when my injury in 2011, I went to the Mill Gym. It's run by ex-SAS guys, and one of the guys, Nick Caldwell. So I got to know him pretty well, worked with him, got myself back, and always interested in his stories. You know, I don't ask a lot, but actually had him on the Green Reapers once, talking about a few things. And so that sort of, I guess, knowing him and when the opportunity came up, I was like, yeah. And I knew that it wasn't going to be produced. The only produced part of it is sort of the way that they sort of piece it at the end. So you're 24/7 filmed. So they're filming you like, so then, they'll basically put a story together because you have to for TV, right? So, but yeah, everything that was on there was genuine. Like it was.
How did you
proper.
find that mentally?
I was mentally cooked. I got off my meds at the time as well because I wanted to go in, as me. So I was probably 6 months off meds because we originally were going to shoot it in New Zealand and we were over there, and then COVID hit, so we had to come back home, and then we weren't sure when it was going to film, and so we sort of waited around for a little bit, and then sort of over about 6 months. So I trained a lot. I was training twice a day, walking through the streets with backpacks and boots.
Well, yeah.
I was all in black, like had a couple of cars sort of go slowly past it, sort of 11, 12 o'clock at
Gosh,
night.
that'd be
I was
terrifying.
wondering what I was going to do. Like, but I had like 30, 35 kilos in my backpack and walking around for a few hours.
Excuse my ignorance. How'd you go?
Overall,
Yeah.
I didn't last too long. I came out on the on a thing that I should have been fine at. It was a log, carrying the log, and I just went, no, I can't.
Tapped it. Had enough.
Yeah, had enough. There was a few things that were going on, but it was a great experience. And the guys that ran it for UK guys, ex-SF guys, I'd read all their books going in, and really interesting guys. They've all been through their stuff, and so it was just great to be able to keep in touch with them now and sort of ask a few questions. And so it was as genuine as can be. Like I wouldn't do anything. I've been asked to do a heap of other shows, and I'm like, you'd have to pay me probably some serious money for that.
You were
I didn't get
fluffing
paid
over it.
much for that. I didn't. I wasn't about the money for me, so I pretty much went.
I loved it. I didn't watch your series. I watched the next one, and
Yep.
I just love the mental aspect. It's people would watch it and think, oh, they're flogging, they're being mean, or
who's in your season again?
It is mental.
But it's all, but they go hard at you. But then they have those sessions, and it's about messaging around mental health. It is. I don't know if people see that, but it's a mental health show.
So the mirror room is the best thing on that show. Like
they pick you apart
people,
a bit.
People actually will start to relax because you are tired. They pull you out of your room generally at the time when you don't expect it. You're just falling asleep, and you're stuffed. Not much food, all that stuff. You've been smashed all day. So we'd done a few of those kind of camps when I first went into the Australian team. 2006, we had a camp like for 4 days, very similar. So look, it was amazing experience, but I'd love to do it again.
I'd love to do it. We're going to go to
the
Connor.
Channel 7 producers.
We're going to go, hello, Connor Morrissey Music.
What did James Anderson say to George Bailey to make you need to break his arm?
See, this is funny because I wasn't the one that said it. I get people that say that. They're like, oh, you said this, blah, blah, blah. It's just taking it too far. So I wasn't actually one that said that comment. It was Michael Clark. I never said I was going to break his arm. Maybe in my head. I thought that.
Did he then give you the directive to break his arm?
Well, he said it pretty loud. Everyone could hear it. George was sitting there under the helmet. He was loving it because this is his first test, his first Ashes series. He's like a little kid in the candy store. Like he was just so this big smile on his face. Anyway,
Jimmy fielding and silly.
Yeah. So Jimmy could see that he was smiling. He may have said something like, "Oh, how good's this, Jimmy?" Anyway, Jimmy didn't like it. He said, "Shut the fuck up! Why are you talking? Why are you smiling?" He didn't like it. So then that's how it sort of all kicked off.
That's great.
There you go.
Stefan _1039.
People say it's part of sport, but how mentally damaging can criticism on social media be? I see players take 5 for 1 week and then the GOAT and 0 and 80 the next to then be told they should never play again.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like I said before, you people making comments on your performance and sometimes not knowing exactly what the plan was in that game or in that session, what you were trying to do. So you have a look at it. It's generally like a couple of comments, and if you're on social media, you're flicking through. There's so many great comments. Oh no, keep your head up, or you did really well. Then there's one comment or two comments, and you just go, all right, that's the ones I'm going after. I still do it now. I don't know. It's just something I enjoy a bit of that conflict still.
Do you reply to them?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You should put him on the list to follow.
Oh no, I'm not. I could be abusive, but I try to do it in a
reasonable.
It's funny
manner until it gets to the point where it's like, shut the fuck up. It's enough.
What I've heard and just from guests going on the podcast is when the moment someone actually responds to it, the person who's originally posted is like, oh shit, and really humanizes the person, and then they feel bad. And we've heard times where people have messaged the next day hey man, sorry, I had a few beers.
Yeah. But the thing is, messaging gets interpreted any way that you interpret it with whatever mood you're in as a person. So you know what it was like when you'd have a fight with your wife or your partner or over a text message, and one of yours is probably okay, it's just, and they've seen it the other way. You know what I mean? Can be interpreted.
It loses any sort of context.
It does. There's no context. So it's really hard. I think it's quite dangerous. I'm not really a fan of social media. To be honest, I'm not on Twitter. Got off that because that was real toxic, and I actually couldn't handle it.
Twitter's
it was just too much. Because there was no way you could get your point across, and I was trying to get my point across.
Yeah, it's a losing battle.
I'm not getting anywhere with this. So, and I sort of look back and go, well, what's the point in getting involved in that?
Yep.
I'm trying to make Twitter better. It's not going to happen.
Before we go to the next question, because you brought it up a few times, if you were to get 0 for something and people don't understand the sort of strategy around it.
Oh, sometimes it was shit. You
Can
bowled
you-
shit.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
It's bowling pies.
No, it's always for the team. Every time I took no wickets, I was just looking after the team.
Making all these excuses for it.
What would be some of those tactics that people don't understand? So obviously, as a viewer, you think just bowl them out every time. But how much goes into the strategy and planning, bowling in certain areas, and then pulling the trigger on something?
What's the thing? Yeah, it's not just bowl it straight at the stumps. Like, you're coming up against players that have got the same skills or better. Like, it comes down to your mental side and how you've prepared, all the work that you've done looking at footage, and how you're going to set someone up, having those kind of plans in place. So you might go through a game. You got to adapt as well. Like, sometimes a player might play a bit differently to what you've been seeing on a computer screen. So you've got to adapt like on the spot and sort of pick that up pretty quickly in a game. So sometimes you might just go, all right, he's playing it pretty well on the off stump here. I've just got to bowl 4th, 5th stump line and just be boring. Like, that's the team. That's what the team needs. At this time, we've just got to do that.
Yeah.
It's just things like that. Like, I remember in 2008 against South Africa, it was Sydney, and Graham Smith came out. I broke his hand in that game. He came out with it all plastered up, and he was batting at the end of the game because he wanted to save the match.
Yeah.
And it was pretty courageous because his hand was stuffed. Like, he couldn't hold the bat really. And sort of bowling, and there was still a fair bit of a crowd there, but you could hear people yelling out stuff like, just bowl it at the stumps, like those kind of things. And it's like, you start to think, oh, am I doing the wrong thing here? Because that person said it. So it's really difficult to just get your focus and go, no, this is what I need to do. I need to like set him up before I try and go for that glory ball, because they know exactly what you're trying to do. It's not like...
You just bowl at the stumps every time and stand in front
if
of
it was that easy, I mean, everyone would be playing. Like,
Dan would be playing.
I could have if I wanted to. So what's the longest then? Like, sort of, is it like 8 overs in advance? Are you planning stuff, or is it more like?
Yeah, it can be. Like, I mean, I got to the point where, and Glenn McGrath taught me this and spoke about it a lot. He'd sort of know his over in advance what he wanted to do, so he'd sort of have that over there, and then he'd be on to the next over. But each ball at a time type of thing, at the top of your mark, you know what you want to do. So sometimes, yeah, you're setting up a guy for, it could be 3 balls. But there's some guys, yeah, you're setting them up for a couple of overs, 3 overs, 4 overs. That's where you need your guy at the other end to do his job as well. If he's not dotting it up at the other end, if he's getting hit for runs, then that sort of plan at the other end sort of goes away, because they can just sit on you for a bit longer then. So
the pressure goes away.
Yeah, so it's you've got to work in tandem. You've got to work as a partnership, and yeah, sometimes it can take longer than you hope, or that you sort of thought of in your plans. So yeah, that's what I loved about Test cricket, because it wasn't always the same. Conditions were always different. They changed over days. You go to Lords, and the slope at Lords is like that, and like that's another whole new ball game, because you've got to think about where you're pitching the ball now, because if you pitch it too far towards the leg side of a left-hander, it's just going to like roll down the hill or whatever. So it's all those things, yeah.
Nah, you're cut off. That's social media, mate. You don't get to just take social media over. One of the best worldwide.
Go to the next one.
Alex _Paul with a double L. I love everything about your username.
Mitch, did you rate the sports bra Australia tops from 2011 to 2012? Because your refusal to wear one for a press conference got me in some trouble.
I looked at this. I saw this one. I'm really confused.
I'm thinking Alex may have worked for Cricket Australia, or
did you refuse to wear a sports bra?
What sports bra is he talking? What sports bra Australia tops? Was it like the design?
Like the GPS thing in it or something?
Well, there was the GPS thing. I know. I never enjoy. I was never a fan of wearing the GPS. I hardly wore it. Like, I'd say, no, I've got to do my stretches on my back, and it's like too tight. It gets really hot.
Oh, there we go. One of those. Charlie's
GPS.
Yeah, the GPS thing. Yeah.
Okay. Did you use?
I wasn't really for sports science, to be honest. Like, I think like it has its place. I definitely think there's some good stuff that you can get from it. I know there was a lot of talk about, the AFL guys wearing it, footy guys, there's all sports that are doing it. But where I used to get the issues, we never really get that feedback as well. So it's like, why am I wearing it if I'm not getting any feedback? So they've started to do that a lot more, I think. What's your optimal like run-up speed, things like that. But the thing I get is I like a little bit of it. I think it's good in the sport. But I think your sort of heart, your soul, what's up here, like thinking outside the square, like all that stuff doesn't get measured. And that's for me is, like I said, just explaining before, like the game changes daily. It changes like
By ball.
ball by ball sometimes. Like so all that stuff is, you can't judge that on sports science. So I get that they're trying to get the best performance out of you. But this is the other issue as well. It's sort of what we've just seen through this test series is there's a couple of guys that have missed out. Like Richardson, I don't know if this is going to be the right example or not. They said he had a bit of a calf soreness or whatever.
I love how you've done these ones because I looked at the same thing. Is he sore?
I just said this the other day. I said, look what's happened. Boland's come in and taken his opportunity. Now Richardson's like he's behind. Well, he's going to be behind Hazelwood.
Yeah.
So Boland, it's going to be Hazelwood, Boland, and you got Richardson and Nisa. Nisa's even further back now. May not play again. So that's where I get a bit funny about it. Like, we're going to rest players for this, and looking at your data, and so I don't know. You're probably a bit different on that because it's probably been around
absolutely
a lot longer. Or not?
I'm exactly the same as you. Yeah, like had great relationship with our fitness staff and our sports scientists.
Yep.
Loved what they do because there was a lot of benefits to it. But me personally, how I prepared, I got the best out of myself by the competition and by mental preparation about how I was going to sledge someone and how I was going to physically beat them. It wasn't about how many 200s I did on how many kilometres I ran out.
Agreed.
I never was about that, but some guys were.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 100%.
And I'm not going to say everyone had to be like me, but that's how I was, and I think you're probably similar to that.
But I think it's like you say, you have a good relationship with your fitness guy, and they understand you, and then you deal with it, like you work together. But they get the pressure from higher ups. That's the problem.
Warren Cofed, one of the best in the business at West Coast. Couple more here. I think we got 3 to go.
We need one question about Scott Boland before we finish, but keep going.
You cannot take the fuck over social media. I don't know what you fucking think this is.
Doing what I do.
This isn't fucking Const media.
Should be.
Fucking hell. All right. Shannon Blake, 94, please.
What was it like playing under Michael Clark? Feels like he was cricket's punching bag.
So I've said this a few times now. I thought Michael Clark was a very good captain on the field with the sort of field changes and sort of how he went about knowing the role of his players. I think he's very good in that sort of aspect. He had Shane Warne, he was under his wing when he first came on the scene, and Warney's got a great cricket mind, so he had a very good sort of cricket mind, Clarkie. And it's not to take away from what Ricky did as well. Ricky always had a lot of belief in his players, but just a very different, not as aggressive with his field, I guess, at times. But he was always the guy, Ricky was always the guy that was the first and last sort of at the ground, you know, like he would be at training, he'd give you throwdowns as a bowler. Like I remember in South Africa, like getting like throwdowns for half an hour with him because he wanted the best out of his players. Lords, I was bowling like a pile of junk, but he kept coming up and going, mate, you're doing a good job. Like just keep getting better here. Like just keep working. We're right behind you. So he was always trying to like make you get better, I guess, in a way. Like even when you're going through a tough time, he always wanted you to improve. And
was Clarkie different?
Clarkie was very different. Yeah, it wasn't so much like that. It was just business on the field type of thing, and off the field.
Both have their strengths though. Like
yeah, I definitely
both ways just different but good.
It's very different. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. I got 2 more. I'm going to finish on the 398. Dean Sadler _
Love your work, Mitch. By far my fave player. There you go.
Congratulations, Mitch.
My question is life with ADHD and your advice.
It's broad.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I just sort of over the last couple of years, I've just knowing that I've got it, being able to have that knowledge and sort of not feel like there was anything really wrong with me. It's just me. I don't care what other people think, to be honest. Like I'm happy sort of talking about it now. Like I think that's actually going on the SAS show was the best thing for me. Like you asked how I went on it. I said, well, I actually think I won in a lot of ways because I was able to talk about all those type of things that people don't really want to talk about. So I think just talking about it's a good thing. Just being open. I don't know if that stigma with ADHD is really there. I don't know. It's really hard for me to judge that kind of stuff because being in the public eye, I don't know if people are always genuine towards me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, you're a public celebrity that people just think, oh, you know, they hear it and they think that you can just talk about it, and it's sometimes not real. Sometimes,
yeah. The thing is, I've never made it as an excuse either. Like I've always just got on with it. Like it's just part of me. It's just me. So I've just lived with it, and I do go and see someone about it when I feel like I need to be on top of things and have a good amount of people around me.
Is the advice be yourself?
Family and friends.
Be yourself.
I think so. Yeah.
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 Don't be trying to shirk it. Be yourself.
It's good.
All right, last one. Some very, very important listener, Mitch Johnson, 398. Before you ask the question, where's the 398 come from, Mitch?
My playing number. I was actually I was gonna.
Yeah, right.
I'll have to do it next time, but I was going to bring the baggy green in.
All right, next time. I'm going to hold you to that.
398 is my test playing number.
We can hang it on the trophy. We can hang it on Dan's trophy.
Bit of disrespect to the trophy, but
That's right. Was there is there a special thing for being 400? Was that like a big deal for people, for the team? Like
No.
just because it's a
I'm
milestone
going to
number?
answer that for you. No.
that's Brad Haddon.
Is it?
Yeah, but
So it certainly wouldn't have been a big deal because we
Nah,
keepers,
he's a keeper.
even though they
Keepers
give
aren't-
shit, they can take shit.
keepers are on the bowler's side. They go to the batsmen as well, but they're more of a they love the bowlers.
Mitch
So the
Johnson,
question from
398
Mitch
for the very
Johnson.
last question
Did
from
you really
himself.
use a horsehair brush like in Blades of Glory to tame your luscious mow?
Tell me about the mow, and were you brushing that thing like you were looking after a family, a child?
Definitely not. It was disgusting, eh?
What happened? What happened?
So we always did it as bowlers. We'd always do it for Movember, right? We'd do the mow. Peter Siddle used to try and grow one.
So I can't
He
remember.
had the dodgiest one
Bum
you'll ever
fluff.
see. Well,
bit of ranger in it,
Yeah,
maybe?
well, it's very. He had to get a bit of texture in there just to darken it up.
Patchy.
Very, but I won't say the word of what we used to sort of say, but extremely dodgy.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
Very good.
So yeah, we used to grow it, and I just got back into the team, and I said to Jess, my wife, I said, "Oh, I don't really want to do it this year. Like Movember always approach us, and I mean it's a great idea for us to do it because we're in the public eye and we're going to be seen. Like as a bowler, your face is right up there, and so it's great to be able to do it. It's a great talking point." And she goes, "Oh, just do it. Like, how hard is it to grow a mow?" Like I said, "Oh, yeah, I guess so." So
Coming from someone who's never tried to grow a mow.
well, I could grow that okay, but I'd never done the big handlebar one, whatever they call it, horseshoe, whatever you want to call it.
Handlebar.
And I thought, I'll just give that a crack. Anyway, it was a bit dodgy at the start, but anyway, as it sort of went on, the Ashes, and I'm trying to raise a bit of money, and we sort of got towards the back end of the month, and the boys like, "You can't shave it." Shane Watson's like, "Mate, you can't shave that now. Like, that's you.
That's your
like,
power."
This is that's your power, basically.
Samson.
Yeah,
can't
this is
cut
it.
it off,
Like
mate.
I said, "Mate, I've got to shave it. Like it's just part of the deal, So then I sort of thought about it, and I went, "Well, I'll keep it on for the summer. This is my idea. I'll keep it for the summer, but I need to raise like up close to, or try and get 50 grand." So I came out. I don't know if it was on Twitter or somewhere on social media, or I did it in an interview. But I came out and said, "Look, I'll keep the mow if I can raise 50 grand." So basically, Today Show, they came on board. Big Carl Stefanovic. I had to do little pieces with him like every now and then, just to say
Little
how
update.
things going, how the mow, like all that kind of crap.
So you're sitting back in some sort of lounge room, combing it.
Pretty much, yeah. Just like had to maintain it after, I think Gillette got on board as well, so we got close to that 50 grand. But at the end, I had to shave it, so kept it in good condition. I think I might have shampooed it once or twice, just to so it wasn't too stinky.
Because you can tell.
Get it nice
It's
and
right
soft. Yeah. The wife wasn't too keen on it, but so we had to shave it like on live TV, Today Show. Then Jess was doing it, and it was with one of those new razors that had the vibrating thing going on with it as well. But you had to have that on, otherwise it wasn't going to cut properly. So we're just about to start, and she didn't know that she had to press the button, and she started to shave, and it was ripping my face, and I'm like going, "Oh, it's roofing my face. And the hairdresser that was there, she's like, oh, you just got to switch that on, love. Like, my face was getting ripped apart live on TV. So we got that. We got it done. And they basically had to, they collected all my whiskers, right? This is where it gets really bad. Like, and they put it in like the urn, and they auctioned it off.
As the ashes.
Yeah, so someone's got it out there on their little side table.
Charlie, is that you? Do you have that on your...
I think I'll tell you what I wish I did.
2.5, $3 I think we got for it.
Gosh.
Wow.
So
someone
I'm being
has
like
Mitch Johnson's moustache in an urn on their coffee
I reckon
table.
they've probably glued it on.
I've either glued it on or that, I feel like some weird pain sometimes, like touching me or voodoo sort of stuff, or I don't know. It's a bit creepy, but it was good for the cause.
Very good, mate. Mate, this has been unreal. We appreciate it. We're going to do it again.
Yeah, sweet.
You know where we are now. Appreciate your time, mate. It's been
thanks.
a great little
appreciate
journey.
it. It's great chatting to you and plenty more to talk about. So
Correct. I'll tell you about when I shaved my beard off for charity and Bo Waters did it, not my wife.
There you go. We got new social handles before we go.
Social handles, BackChat, _, because we love underscore so much.
Sammy loves it.
BackChat, _, Sammy, graphic design, not happy with it. You know what, Sammy? It's happening, mate. BackChat, _. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit. It's BackChat Podcast, I believe. Still a little, we're gonna rip
Reddit,
that
yeah.
Reddit.
r/BackChat Podcast.
You can sign up to our YouTube channel. You've got to subscribe to that. That'll help us a lot. Maybe some of your fans can do that, Mitch. That'd be nice.
Do you play this is fantasy football?
no.
No, all right.
All right. Well, maybe Mitch can sign up to our fantasy football league because he'll be a fucking easy beat.
We got a league. There you go. Yep.
I'll get into it.
We've got a fantasy league. So you want to get involved in that, you got to sign up to our Patreon, which is on our website, backchatpodcast.com.au. You can find all the details there. You can get the league code there. What am I missing here? hello@backchatpodcast.com.au is our email. So if you want to send it and we read it, we're going to do that.
What about you? Anything you want to shout out before you go?
You got any businesses? You got any plugging?
No,
Nah.
I don't.
He's played IPL for 10 years, Dan. He doesn't need to plug shit, mate.
He's got the Mumbai wing.
Indian wing, yeah.
Very good. Been a pleasure. See you next week.